What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we got our power rankings for the Big Ten heading into Week 5 of the college football season. The top and bottom stay pretty much the same, but we did have some movement in the middle of the pack here in the Big Ten. We'll start with number 14. Still in last place is Rutgers. They played pretty well against Nebraska, at least, only losing that game by 10 points, but this still looks like the worst team in the Big Ten so far. You could make an argument for this next team as well, but I think these two definitely are the worst two teams in the Big Ten. Number 13 is Illinois. I do think they probably belong here as well. We didn't really compete at all with South Florida. South Florida's a good team, so don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Illinois just hasn't really gotten it going just yet, but I think they have improved a little bit from last year. Now number 12, the team that's a huge disappointment for me is Northwestern. I still can't get over that blowout loss to Duke. They've at a lot of time to turn it around, though, and I think they could potentially climb up, out of this number 12 spot. They have Wisconsin this weekend. We'll see if they can, at least keep that game close and be competitive in that game. Number 11, a team that they got to win this weekend, Nebraska. It's not been good at all for them so far this season, but they did get this win over Rutgers. It was a pretty good win for them. It's Rutgers, and they only won by 10 points. So I still think Nebraska is definitely one of the worst, or in the bottom half of teams in the Big Ten. Let's just say that. Maryland, number 10. We thought this team might be pretty good this year. They go out and play Central Florida and get blown out. Now that we see that game, maybe Maryland not really that good. Central Florida, another pretty good team though. So we'll see, how it plays out here, but. They do drop to number 10. Another team that dropped a little bit is Purdue. Purdue comes in at number 9. They were competitive with Michigan. They, especially in the first half, they wound up, Michigan pulled away in that game. But I still think Purdue's a pretty solid team, and I think that they'll compete, in most games here in the Big Ten. So I've got them at number 9. Number 8, a team that had a disappointing loss is Michigan State. They get blown out by Notre Dame. You thought maybe Michigan State was coming around, maybe returning back to that old form, but it didn't show up at all against Notre Dame, and they were playing at home. I thought that game would be close, but it was not. So Michigan State not looking too good. They drop a little bit here in our power rankings. Number 7, Indiana. I've got them here at number 7. They, that one loss to Ohio State. Other than that, they've looked pretty good. They've, taken care of business in pretty much every other game. Winning fairly easily. So I still think this Indiana team is a very solid team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Let's go now to number 6, a team that's still undefeated. They didn't play this past weekend, so not a lot of movement here. I do have 2 teams with a loss ahead of them, but if they continue to win, obviously they're going to keep moving up. And I think this team potentially could be a lot higher, especially because of that defense. That defense is really good for Minnesota. And now let's go to number 5, a team that has a loss. It's Iowa. But even though they lost to Penn State, Penn State's the number 1 team here. And it was a close game. They had a chance to win it. Really good game. So this shows you Iowa can compete with anybody. They're definitely one of the better teams in the Big Ten. So I've got them at number 5. Number 4, a team that may wind up being higher than this. I don't have any conference losses, but that loss to Oklahoma still, kind of comes back to bottom here as they come in at number 4. They haven't looked all that great in every game either. They haven't been dominant in those other games, or as much as maybe you would expect them to be. So they're at number 4, but again, plenty of time to climb out of that spot and get towards the top. Michigan, I have at number 3. I still have them here below Wisconsin. I think those 2 teams are pretty even. They played this year. That's going to be an excellent football game. So right now, I still give a slight edge to Wisconsin. Michigan may have gotten something figured out there in that second half against Purdue, though. So here we talked about Wisconsin. They're number 2. Looking good. I don't see anybody challenging them in the West. Maybe Iowa. Iowa's looking pretty good, but other than that, and maybe Minnesota. I thought Northwestern was going to be that team, but so far that has not been the case. So, yeah, Wisconsin here at number 2. And at number 1, it's Penn State. And I don't think there's any doubt here after a big win over Iowa. They got a win over Iowa. They beat Pitt. So they are, they're looking good right now. We'll see what happens when they play, some of the top teams here in the Big Ten. But so far, so good for Penn State. I don't know that they win the conference, though, because they still have to go on the road to face Ohio State. And if they lose that game, they would need Ohio State to lose 2 games, and that's probably not going to happen. So that's going to be a huge game coming up in a few weeks. Or I guess it's several weeks away, but can't wait for that one. That's going to do it for this week's Power Rankings. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and how you would have these teams ranked. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports YouTube channel.